Do we turn this down, or do you think it's fine?
I'll see if we can. We're recording. I think it'll be all right, though.
Okay.
I've got noise canceling. Yeah. But I didn't find the controls.
You gotta do that awkward TV thing.
Yeah, I gotta start touching things. Yeah, we'll be all right.
Okay.
It's not gonna hurt. Okay, that's running. All right, get this one going. Let me make sure my phones are off here. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. Well, mine's up.
Got a laptop theft problem?
A what?
A laptop theft problem? People try to take your stuff?
Yes. Well, you know, you got to protect against that. You know what? I don't really need this. We're gonna just use that like a barrier. We'll leave that the way it is. Okay.
All right.
Talk to your mic for a sec. Get the mic right at your face there.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Does this work?
Yeah, you're good. We're nice and hot there.
People thought they were done having to hear my voice.
Just before the yellow levels come up. All right, we're good.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go live here.
Okay.
Hey everybody. So this is the next edition of the Past Presidents podcast of the New Jersey Land Title Association. With me today is the most recent past president. This is a first for us. I don't think we've ever done somebody hot off the seat. Mr. John Crowley.
Hi, everyone.
Senior Regulatory and Compliance Counsel with Stewart Title.
That's me.
Is that it?
Did I get it right? That's what I am now, yeah.
First try.
I'm still learning what that means. So if you have any insight, please let me know.
I could ask ChatGPT if you like, and
that's a good idea.
Email that to you, and then you'll finally have an idea.
Yes, please do.
All right, we'll do. So look, John had a great presidency. I'm very proud to say that he carried forth the legacy of what the prior administration tried to do. That was me. But you know, it was really, there were some challenges and some successes, and I'm interested to get your point of view on all that today. So, first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And second, great job. I thought you were a fantastic president.
Thanks.
And, you know, a lot of people I spoke to feel the same way.
Well, that's good. I paid them. But no, I mean, I was just following some pretty big shoes with you. So
the Google ad dollars worked.
Yeah,
I guess is what it comes down to. Look, just to kick things off, I just want to ask you, in your opinion, what was your biggest accomplishment as an administration last year?
I've been thinking about that on the ride over here, and I think it's not the most exciting one, but continuing what we started during the last year with getting Mark and his team in place and up and running and really hitting the ground this year, I think was probably the biggest accomplishment and one that I'm particularly proud of, in that we were able to transition, figure out what needed to be changed, what needed to be fixed, what was working well. And they've really, I think, come into their stride over the last year and people have gotten to know who they are, and they're working well with the committees. Convention was a great success. I got to give Lori a lot of credit for that. And John, of course. But I think that's something I was particularly proud of. You know, I never really thought this, but you know, that 1% in the back of your brain is like, oh, you know, me and Casey spent a year trying to find a new person. I really hope they don't blow it because we put a lot of our street cred on that. Right. So, but I'm pleased to think that I don't think they've done anything near that. So they've done a great job.
No, I think it's been very good. And I was happy that when the transition first came about and there was some blowback on them just not understanding us yet, which was bound to happen, right? That you guys weathered the storm and didn't take it too personally and just kept pushing forward to see it through. Yeah. And now, as you said, they're great. I think they're really going to be the way to push us into the future and a very powerful tool for making the NJLTA better than it was. Yeah. So look, that kind of ties into my next question. Aside from that, what would you say your biggest challenges were
Challenges, I mean, sort of getting everyone in on Mark and his team and then realizing things were a little different. I think, like you mentioned at the beginning, which is completely normal. And we were able to get through that and figure out what was working, what wasn't working. We've had a lot of challenges, I think, as an industry in the last year, which I tried to focus on and attend to the best I could in my small little part here. You know, things like the title waiver products, and we had some escrow issues that have changed how we do business with multifamily, and trying to make sure that people are educated about that. FinCEN, this thing that's coming that's going to change every title agent's life, has been a big thing, and trying to make sure that we're staying on top of that as an industry. So things like that, and making sure that we're advocating for ourselves, I think was one of our biggest challenges, but I think something that we did a really good job with over the last year of really trying to spark that. And we had people go to Alta Advocacy. We were in the process of restarting Lobby Day here locally, which I'm super excited about. TIPAC's really working hard to raise money, and then we're hopefully going to find some people to use that money for. I mean, just the other day, we were talking about trying to get one of the governor candidates to show up to the TIPAC Golf, which I'm still involved in. So, you know, just really, it was a challenge, but something that I think we've done well and I'm proud of is that everyone really kind of stepped up and tackled a lot of things that I think we haven't had to deal with, at least for a long time, where it's been kind of nice to not be noticed as an industry. But then when you have the president say, you know, title insurance is a junk fee, it can really change things. And that was certainly something that I think affected all of us, at least in part, and continues to do so. So we got to keep our, the pedal to the metal on that.
Right. When I think of you in terms of challenges, I think about your participation on the county liaison committee.
Sure.
And without naming any county names, because this podcast is going to live on in perpetuity, and we don't want to, put any permanent, controversies out there. Yeah. We had a couple of counties that in the past couple of years we've been dealing with falling well behind in their recording and falling short of their responsibility when it comes to recording practices. Do you have any insight or comments on how that's going and how we're doing as an association in confronting that?
Well, I think between the liaison committee and the recording practice committee, we're very much on top of it. It is a big challenge, and one that I don't think you can fix overnight, or even over a couple nights. It's, the county governments are vast and they do a lot of different things. So you have to respect and understand that. But I think we've done a really good job of getting ourselves into those counties, talking, saying, how can we help? What's going on? What are your problems? And offering, what we can to help those issues. And then realizing that sometimes if we're not sort of getting a 50-50 buy-in on trying to make things better, then we might have to do something a little different, which we've done in the past. And we're willing to do again if we need to. I mean, that's what our organization is all about, is making sure that people can buy their homes and get mortgages and do it successfully and safely and on time, and not worry about things like, is my deed recorded or did my mortgage get recorded? I'm trying to sell my house and I just realized that it's not recorded correctly. Those are big things that are very important, not only just to us in the industry, but I mean, it's like fundamental American dream is to be able to own your house and know that you own your house and not have to worry about it. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's never going to go away. It's always going to be a challenge because things change over time. So one county might be doing a great job, and then a year from now, 2 years or 10 years, it all might change. It's like, sports teams. They're good for a long time, and then things happen, and they got to rebuild. And so I don't think that job's ever going to end for the organization, the association. But I think we've done a lot of good work over the last 5 years or so of trying to get in there and approach it differently, to work with them as much as we can.
And that's a great point. I think it's really important that, in the past, several years, we've been massaging our tactics towards the county recorders to be less adversarial and more cooperative. And I think that it's natural that at first the cooperative approach won't get a lot of traction because they're still expecting us to be the adversary.
Sure.
Right. And, if it goes too far, we end up having to be. But if we can keep coming at them from the cooperative aspect and maybe, that starts to take hold as, oh, okay, they really do want to help. Maybe we'll get there one day. But
yeah,
the difficult part is you're also talking about political appointments.
Sure.
And then, next cycle, we might not be dealing with the same.
Yeah, it could change.
Same folks.
Or it could be the same person in there. And depending on whether or not they like us, we've got another, couple years in which to figure that relationship out.
Part of the easy part is though the staff usually stays the same.
Yeah.
So if they give you access to the staff, we have an opportunity.
And that's what we're trying to focus on, particularly with liaison, is where can we work together? Who are the people that we can talk to, who understand how the systems work and explain to us? Because I think we've learned firsthand in one of the counties, hey, tell us about what your challenges are, what your processes are. And we didn't necessarily know what they were doing day to day, how the sausage was made. And once we knew that, we could sort of appreciate, okay, maybe this is why these things are the way they are. And let's maybe think, how do we fix those or how do we better those processes to get a better result at the end of the day? And we were successful in that ultimately.
Great. So look, just want you to reflect on when you started as president to when you finally were relieved of duty. How would you say the NJLTA evolved or changed in that time period?
I feel like it's been forever. Like, particularly like the last 4 years of the board just have like merged into just one big year, which I'm, preaching to the choir. But in the last year, I'm very proud of the people that I got to work with. Lisa and John and Heather, I think they did a fantastic job. And I'll give you credit for this. You really instilled like a continuation of like service versus every year's a new year, new slate sort of thing.
Right.
We really tried to work on that to say, all right, these are some of the longer term goals that we're working on, things that didn't get done last year that we need to get done. So I'd say that is something that's changed a little bit in that we still, I think, have a long way to go on that and make sure that we continue that process. Because I found in the last year that, particularly the last year, you can't always get everything done that you want to get done, particularly in the 1 year that you're the president. So hopefully that change continues and that we really start to think, and I think Mark and his team, they've always been talking about, strategic goals and strategic planning and stuff like that. So I think we are changing for the better in that way. The other thing too is I think we've got a lot more people who are really passionate and motivated to make this the best association that it can be. Not to say that it hasn't been in the past, but I feel that we've got a lot of people who may have been sort of on the fringes of the association. They're on a committee, but they don't really participate, or they're a member, but they don't really show up. I think we changed a little bit of that. We got a lot of people to show up, particularly in the agency side. It's been good to see a lot of old faces and new faces on that side getting in there and getting involved, because it takes all of us to make the changes for the better for us, and loftily, it's I do believe that what we do is important to the everyday American and person in New Jersey. Buying a house, being able to own a business, those types of things, you need property to do that. So getting people involved, I think, is really important, and I've been very pleased to see that. I think we've got a little bit more of that in the last year.
I agree. I think something else that you said that I think is going to be very important is goal setting. And, not allowing the association to kind of like free range it. We have a very difficult path ahead of us on a number of fronts. There's some serious issues that we can't afford to just float through anymore. Right. And this, I'm not casting any aspersions on anybody who came before us, but I think things have changed and things have gotten a little bit more critical. And I think the pace of change has increased. You know, just technology alone, not to mention everything else that's going on, you know, economically and politically. And the world is very difficult to navigate, especially on cruise control. So, you know, to your point, I am happy as well to see more agents getting involved in the governance. And, you know, I think we're both of the same mind in that it's going to be crucial to have more involvement from agents and agent owners going forward. Let me break off a little bit into some, you know, hypotheticals here. All right. You have a time machine that speaks into the future. It's right here. Okay. And at some point down the line, there's a future president that you haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody that you know, you're not giving any direct advice to Lisa or John or Heather or Alex or any of the people that we know are going to be on the block in the next five years or so.
Whether we know that they know already.
Long term.
Yeah.
Long term advice for a president. So this is like evergreen advice.
Wow.
What would you say is the, you know, one good piece of advice, or if you got a couple to get you through it?
I think as president, you need to, as much as you can, simultaneously look at what's gone on in the past and then look to the future. You know, you've been on the board for 3 years at that point. So take what you've learned and what you've seen and experienced during those 3 years and bring that to the table as president. You need to realize that, you know, this is an organization. It's not just one person. You know, it's important to hear other people in terms of why they think something should or should not happen. But then also, on the other hand of that, realize that, you know, the four of you and you as president, you were elected to make the decisions, and you need to be able to do that. And realize that maybe not everyone's going to love it. But if you've got buy-in from the majority of the group and you've done your homework and vetted it out, that you should feel comfortable in making those hard decisions, because that's what you were elected to do. You were voted in to be the one who has to make those decisions. And then, I mean, really just listen to people. I think as much as you can, make sure people understand that they can come. It's like an open door. I tried to do that as much as I could and say, call me, email me, you know, whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. I know you did as well. And I think that was really important, because I think a lot of people within the association, I don't know, maybe it's a misconception of like, well, they're running it, I don't want to bother them, or I don't have anything to add. And I just fundamentally don't think that's true, particularly not just underwriters, but agents too. You guys are the ones dealing with the actual buyers and sellers, and people are trying to get mortgages. And then you're the ones dealing with a lot of the vendors directly and the counties directly. So a lot of invaluable information that the president and the exec board needs to know. And so just really, as a president, try to foster that collaboration, because I think we've talked maybe before, but maybe it was on the other podcast I listened to on the way here. This is a volunteer position. So, you know, you can put in as little or as much as you want, but this is a pretty important organization, I think, truly. And it allows us to have a career and a living, and also do some good, like I've said a couple times, with making sure people can buy a house. So, I mean, really stay committed, because you said you were going to do it. And it's easy to maybe do cruise control or coast, but it's much more rewarding if you really try to work for your friends and colleagues too, because we're all...
Look, my advice would be similar to yours, but I would say you're probably only going to get this chance once.
Sure, hopefully.
There's
a couple repeats, I think, over history time.
If things go weird, we might have some repeats, but you know, in all likelihood, this is going to be your shot. And when you look back on your time and you're like, all right, I was president, what did I do with it? Before you get in the chair, if you're headed for it, start thinking about that now. And like, when I get there, what do I want to do? And then write it down and put it someplace and then remember it. So I think it's important to come in with a plan and a playbook, but then to be flexible and listen. I think that's really important. Look, since you're a senior compliance and regulatory expert now.
Sure. Yeah.
What would you classify as the biggest threats or opportunities for the title industry at large?
Well, I think unequivocally, the FinCEN rule coming out in December is a life-changing event for our industry. Certainly the biggest thing we've had since TRID, in that it's going to require a lot of diligence and work. We talked about this at the convention, but the average file might take 2 to 3 hours worth of extra work that an agent is not normally doing now. There's a lot of hard questions that are going to need to be asked, particularly from the buyer side on that, that frankly are going to be a little uncomfortable. It's like, well, where do you live? How many citizenships do you have? I need your tax ID numbers. What are you going to do with this property after if it's vacant? Questions that you normally weren't asking people because we never had to. Now you have to ask. And a lot of these, when you're putting property into an entity or a trust, one of the very legitimate and legal reasons for doing so is that so people don't know who owns it.
Right.
For a number of reasons. You talk about like just identity masking for safety, for tax purposes, for business purposes. There's a number of very legitimate reasons to put your property in an LLC or a trust. But it comes with this great perk of a little bit of anonymity. And now you have to tell people, well, that's great. Most people won't know, but the federal government will. And I just to be honest, I think that's going to be a little bit of a friction point. So making sure, particularly because the agents are going to be the ones most affected by this, the way the rule is set up. Closing and settlement agents are the first person in the reporting cascade. So you guys are the ones who are going to be doing the work most of the time. And think about it now. I don't know when this is going to come out, but today is August 7th. The rule is only 4 months away. And I've had a couple meetings with FinCEN in my capacity as steward, as well as a member of the NJLTA. And FinCEN, they're saying it's happening December 1st. There's not going to be a delay, most likely. So if anyone's counting on that, don't do that anymore because you're only 4 months away, which can go by you think your presidency year goes by fast. 4 months will go by in a heartbeat, particularly we're getting into holidays now. And if you're not ready, you're going to get left behind. And I will say that FinCEN is one of the, I think, truly great regulators in terms of this country, in that they've never been the one, even with the GTOs, which some of us may be familiar with if they do work in New York or Massachusetts or Florida. They never were like the gotcha regulator where they're going to be hunting for people who are doing this wrong but if you don't do this right, there's significant penalties. Criminally and civilly, you could pay up to $100,000, $250,000. You can go to jail for 5 years. So I think that's probably the biggest compliance thing that certainly in the near future and absolutely over the last couple of years is something that I can't stress enough that people focus on. I mean, the underwriters, I think, generally are doing a good job. Excuse me. I know all of them are putting out webinars and podcasts and flyers, not to get too stewardy, but we got a lot of good stuff. If you want, it's free to look at. But it's because everyone knows how important this is that we spend the time. So just get ready for that. Realize, do I need to hire more people? Do I have someone in my office that I can trust to do this? Or do I need to train someone? Can I train someone in my office currently? Do I have to hire someone? What does that look like in terms of, my finances as a business? So that's a big one.
FinCEN question. And for the audience, FinCEN is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, arm of the government. Are you aware of any software solutions for collecting this information where it takes it off of a manual process for the agent? So FinCEN themselves has stated that within their collection system, which is the BSA e-filing system. So if you've ever done anything with the Corporate Transparency Act or the GTOs, it's relatively going to be the same system. There is going to be technological, and you've got to be kind of tech savvy, so I'm sure you'll be able to handle it. But you can batch file individual files, but in a batch, but you actually have to do some of the coding to make that happen. It's not like you can just drag a bunch of PDFs, from my understanding. In terms of software solutions, I know because
I've joked that I'm on the tour of terror across the country. I've been in 5, 6 different states. I got it in the next couple months. I'll be in Texas, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. I'm going all over talking about this. There are a lot of people who are trying to figure out, how can I either retrofit or create a new solution technologically to collect some of the stuff. And I would say that there are some coming out that I'm aware of, at least you've heard of. Some of the TPS softwares have maybe talked about it, but there's no direct integration into the FinCEN website. Right. So I don't think there's at this point like a 100% solution, but I would say to anyone who's looking for those, just like anything else, do your due diligence, understand that, understand what they're offering, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do. And for the most part, because under the rule, unless you're in that cascade of reporting, you can't actually designate the responsibility to anyone else.
Right.
So ultimately, even if you're using a solution to help collect the data or report the data, it's still on you in terms of the federal government's eyes, whether or not you do it correctly. So, and like I said, they're not out to get you. But if you habitually file wrong or incorrect or incomplete files, eventually someone's going to come knocking and say, hey, we don't know if you're doing this intentionally or negligently, but you're doing it wrong.
Right.
So just like anything, you want to make sure that whoever you might hear about, make sure they're doing what you think they're supposed to be doing and they're doing that correctly, because you don't want to be the one responsible at the end of the day, because you are.
Right.
And it would be really tough to get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we found out that the last 30 files you filed were incorrect, and we're going to give you $1,000 fine for each of them.
So look, if there's any software people out there listening, I think stage one of a huge success would be a way to get the information collected either through a website or, an app or something where you can send it to the party and say, we need all of this information.
Sure.
And then it comes to us in a digestible format. Stage two success would be to figure out how to integrate with government websites. So we push another button, push it through.
And the TPSs. It would be cool if we could get them all connected, because some of this information, the closing agent's already going to have. Certain, you're usually going to have people's tax ID numbers or socials. You're going to have where they live, because you got to fill that out in a number of other places. When it comes to the entity structure from an underwriting perspective, some of the times you will have that information about, operating agreements and who's the managing member, and then if there's a nested LLC within that, you usually are supposed to ask for all of those. Depends on the file, but from an underwriting perspective, there's a number of things that agents should have. So they should be able to kind of like cross-utilize that. But that's still going to take some time, because you have to go, okay, I got to go into my TPS, find that document that I've got saved. Okay, who's the managing member? Okay, cool. Now I can write that down so that I can put it into the file for the reporting.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief moment when as I reset my
Does the government know?
My glucose meter.
Oh, yeah. We don't.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Are you okay?
Yeah. No,
okay.
Fine. It's just,
I didn't know if it was like you spiked.
No, I ate a bagel. And what am I supposed to do? Not have bagels?
If you're in New Jersey. I've learned that much.
I'm in North Jersey.
Yeah.
South Jersey bagels are like a couple good ones. You come up north, you got to grab a bagel. Otherwise, what is life?
It's not worth living.
No, absolutely not. So I apologize for that brief distraction. But, that's real fun when it goes off. Like if you forget to turn your phone off in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good loud alarm.
Does that go off even when it's on silent?
Yeah, it's like a, it's like a health alarm.
Good. Yeah.
But no. Sorry about that.
So you go to the movies. I have a 3-year-old. So
no, you can't go to the movies yet.
I've heard about these talking movie pictures.
You'll have little kid movies you'll be able to see for a while.
On the couch. Yeah.
Oh, just
right now. But when he's a little older, I'm not subjecting anyone in the theater to a 3-year-old running around.
I think we waited until our kids were like 4.
Okay, yeah.
And I think the first movie they saw in the theaters was Cars.
He loves Cars.
Yeah.
We watch it at home.
You'll have plenty of opportunities.
Oh, good.
But
I can't wait.
There are also babysitters. You might want to Google that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, is there a technological service for that? Someone who can.
There is, but I wouldn't know if they qualify as legal.
Okay.
You just put them in a box,
like a Siri,
little tablet kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it might be a little
put
problematic.
Put a Bluetooth speaker in my corner.
You just end up having to explain yourself, and it's never a good look. So back to FinCEN.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've been saying as agents is right now we do the government's work with 1099s.
Yeah.
Right. We collect just a few pieces of information.
Mm-hmm.
We have to multiply that by probably 20.
Yeah. Don't think that this isn't a bit of a task.
Yeah.
It's an endeavor.
I really do think that at current, the way things are currently, without a tested and proven technological solution, you might be looking at an employee depending on your volume. This could be a full-time job if you're at all busy.
Yeah. I mean, if you're working with, let's say, property investor clients,
right,
they're most likely going to be putting all of their properties into LLCs right off the bat. So think about that. Well, I've got this one developer client and he's buying 5 properties a month. Those are 5 most likely reportable files. Mm-hmm. So you're right. It's at the end of the month, because that's normally when these things are going to be due. The reports, it's either 30 days from the date of closing or 60 days. You get like a 30 or 60 day window. But imagine it's supposed to be the end of the month, and you're already busy then. And now you also have to report, those 5 or 10 or 20 files.
Right.
So you got to look within yourself and say, okay, well, I've already got this one person who's doing this. Do they have enough bandwidth to take on this completely new role? And they got to get it right, because like I said, there's some fines that go along with not getting it right. And you got to have someone who can either go out there and directly collect the information themselves, or sort of liaise internally with other people within your company. Because like I said, there's going to be a couple maybe weird questions and conversations you have to have, and you've got to have someone who can do that. You can't just have someone who is just really good at typing in the dark. You've got to be someone who's a little client facing forward to say, hey, I need the following 30 pieces of information from you in order to make sure you close.
I wonder if this springs a cottage industry of, people who just specialize in collecting your FinCEN data.
It could.
Send us the contact information. We'll reach out to them and give it back to you to file.
Yeah. Like I said, again, I'm sure those will pop up, and some of them I'm sure will do well and some of them won't. You just got to make sure you know who you're working with, because again, the responsibility never leaves you unless you're designated to someone else. So like just a quick example, the top tier is the closing or settlement agent. And then after that, it's, let's say 1 or 2 down the line, it's who prepared the settlement statement. Usually that's the same person, but just for example's sake, we'll say it's not. You could then kick the responsibility through a formal written agreement to them. As long as they accept it, now you've walked away. But as a closing agent, you're still going to probably be helping provide info. So you're never really completely out. But outside of those designation agreements, the buck stops with you no matter who else you use to help you. So it's really important that even if there's 30 companies out there who might pop up and do this, make sure you work with the one that you trust.
Yeah. And it's definitely going to be, something where we're going to have to watch and see what enforcement is like, and how strict they are about compliance and accuracy.
So, like I've said, they're not looking to punish anyone, certainly right off the bat. They understand that this is a new thing and that there might be a bit of a learning curve. But I think they made it pretty clear in the conversations I've had, where there will be a point where they said, all right, you've had enough time and you continue to make mistakes. There's going to be consequences. Because as much of this is a pain to do for us, potentially, they are using the information that we collect to either make or bolster cases against drug traffickers and international cartels and money launderers and all this stuff. They've been using that information for the last decade with the GTOs. So it's not just going into a dark room. They're actually using it. So they're counting on us getting the good info. Right. And whether or not, we should be the right ones to do that, that's a different story, but it is what it is. I joke that we should probably get badges, but if anyone's seen The Accountant, the FinCEN agents chasing Ben Affleck, they work for FinCEN.
Wow.
The agents chasing them are FinCEN agents. So you can kind of think of yourself as a cool detective.
Sure.
Kind of thing. But as of now, you're not getting a badge. You might be able to make your own.
That might be a good marketing idea.
But
if there's any agents out there listening, make your FinCEN badges now.
But one thing that ties it back into sort of the advocacy is in a world right now where we're told by a lot of different people, there's this, misunderstanding of what we do and why we're not really important. You can point to things like, well, we're actually working directly with the federal government to collect data that they're using to put serious criminals in away, and stop them from hurting us. So I think that's I try to take comfort in that. And there's a lot we do that you can explain to the outside person to say, well, this is why we're very important. We're not only just, getting your deed recorded, or really most people just think we're just helping you buy your house,
right.
But we're getting your deeds recorded. We're paying the taxes. We're finding child support judgments that haven't been paid.
Right.
We're doing this FinCEN thing. We're doing 1099s. We do a lot of stuff. So as much of a, little bit of frustration or burden this might be moving forward, I'm trying to look at it positively and say, well, this is just one more vital thing that we're doing that no one else seems to be able to do. So maybe, take a minute before you meet someone at an airport and be like, oh, you do title insurance? I've heard that's a scam. That's stupid.
Right.
Because we do so much beyond just title insurance.
Yeah.
Which is by itself a huge thing if you really look into it. But we're pretty vital and
Absolutely.
We do a lot. So
yeah, anyone that asks me, is title insurance worth it, makes a crucial mistake in now I'm about to waste about 30 minutes of your time because I will autistically ramble on about how much we actually do, and how important it is. But the other mistake is that, if every lender requires that you buy title insurance for them before they'll give you a loan, that should be a clue. Yeah. Like they know there's a value to what we do beyond just having a piece of paper at the end of the day.
And outside of all the outside things that we do, all the extra stuff, like I just mentioned, the insurance itself is extremely valuable.
Yep.
As former claims counsel for an underwriter, I can tell you that I've wrote some pretty big checks to solve problems that otherwise the buyer or the owner of the property would be writing 6-figure checks, which maybe they don't have. Because a lot of the times when you're buying particularly your first home, I know for a fact I did it, I was pretty much all in. I didn't have a couple extra $1,000, let alone tens or hundreds of thousands lying around if something happened. So yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. If you make the mistake of telling me that title insurance is a waste or a scam,
clear your calendar.
Buckle up, because
we're in now.
You're gonna have to tell me to stop talking.
You're gonna have to get up and walk away from me once we get rolling on that topic. So look, I also wanted to pick your brain about underwriting. I know you're separated from underwriting now by a little bit.
Technically still an underwriter.
Still, okay.
Still.
Good. So
if you go deep into the company, servers, I have access.
Okay, good. So let me ask you, are you noticing any trends in like underwriting requests or things that you see in the market coming across your desk, either from an underwriting perspective or a claims perspective? Anything you should know?
I think some of the oldies are still goodies in that the vacant land fraud thing is still continuing to be an issue. Wire fraud continues to be an issue. You've got a lot of legislation, not only just in New Jersey, it pops up, but it really doesn't go anywhere. But across the country, there's a lot of foreign ownership restriction type bills that have been floated here a couple times. They haven't gone very far, but it's something to look out for. But in terms of just underwriting, I'm not personally seeing it. I am a little disconnected from the everyday now, but I'm not seeing any, particularly in New Jersey, any big underwriting concerns that would level their own category of problems. I think it's a lot of the same stuff, but it evolves every day, particularly the fraud stuff. There's always the new scam. and that continues to be an issue.
Right.
And I think, well, certainly the mansion tax thing that just happened is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not technically an underwriting problem,
Right.
but it's something that we all have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding the law and making sure that we're paying the right one at the right time. I know we're past those dates now, but at the beginning it was a little crazy, and concerning. And then you've got to tie in with the other counties that may be a little further behind in the recording. How's that all going to happen? We might see some actual fallout, next month.
Right.
So those kind of things.
I would say, in those counties that are having a little bit of a lag, remember that November date is going to come up quicker than you think. And maybe if you have closings that are targeting November, maybe you want to get on the phone with those folks and be like, hey, maybe we should do October.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure you get it in case your sellers need to apply for their discount rebate.
Yeah. Making sure you have a full understanding of what changes there were and what changes you need to make in terms of talking to your buyers and sellers and everybody else, I think is really important, because if you find out that there's an issue after closing, it's really hard to fix it then.
Right.
Everyone's gone their separate ways, and it's particularly talking to the seller or the buyer and saying, I need another 20 grand or 10 grand, when everyone else is going to be like, we're done, man. Money's already gone. I spent it.
Best advice is to, in the absence of something more concrete, look at what the worst case scenario would be.
Sure.
And escrow if you must. But, keep things tight until we're past that November date.
And talk to your underwriters. They're there to help. And that's what they're sitting at their desk every day to talk about that and everything else. So I think it's always been the case, but now more than ever, just because there's so much crazy stuff happening. Make sure you're plugged in. You read the emails your underwriter sent you. I know I'm biased.
Me? Oh yeah, I read them all.
All 400 of them that come a day. I get it. It's a lot of stuff, but most of it, I'll say, is actually there for good reason. It's not being sent out just because. I know all the underwriters, when something big pops, they'll put out a bulletin. Really read those. Particularly because, as former claims counsel, if you don't read them and a claim happens, it can get a little weird, so
that's the truth.
Read your agency contracts. You want to make sure you know what you're responsible for.
That's right. Hey, look, and as to those those underwriter emails, I'm just going to throw a little tip out there. AI is here, and it's not going away.
Is it? I've heard about this.
If you're late to the party, it's time to get in the door.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of emails, and you don't have time to read them. Pack them all up into one PDF. And feed it into your favorite AI and say, give me a summary of the most important details in these emails. Then you got one thing to read, and it just saves you a bunch of time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of AI agents you can apply to your emails incoming, where you get them pre-digested. So when I log into my email in the morning, all my emails are pre-tagged as to what kind of response they need. Like, is it just information or is this urgent? And then meetings I attend, I get a summary of the meeting.
Yeah.
Sometimes meetings I don't attend, I get a summary of. If I can't make it, my AI can still join, and I don't miss out.
Right.
So, just going to throw that out there.
AI is pretty great. I use it just about every day. Try to manage and keep track of 50 different states, regulations, as well as the federal government. It can be tough, and I'm not a lawyer in every state. Thank goodness. So sometimes I don't know these things, and I can use AI to help get me started and maybe understand, or if I've got the relevant statute or regulation, whatever state I'm using it can help me figure out, apply it to this scenario. You have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because sometimes it makes stuff up or misunderstands things, but it can do, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the work for you. To just make your life a little bit more efficient. I'm a big believer in it.
I characterize it as a robot intern.
Sure.
You should use it like a robot intern. Like you need to have the agenda in your mind. You probably need to prompt it or supply it with the right information, where to look, what specifically I want you to focus on. But then it's great for iterating things. You know, if you get, your first draft of something and you're not quite sure if it's great, just feed it in and just broadly say, what do you think of this?
Right.
And it will give you insights into things you might not have considered.
That brings a good point to something we talked about a little earlier. Future advice for a president. When you're asked to write your advocate articles, ChatGPT may be a great source to make sure you're not spouting absolute nonsense. Right. It may have helped me a little bit in the responsibilities I had in that regard.
That's absolutely a perfect use for it.
Yeah.
Because you have to read it anyway before you send it out, but you had somebody else type it.
Well, and make what you typed much more readable, at least in my case.
I'm sure Lee Iacocca didn't really write his memoirs. Somebody wrote it for him, and he just looked at it and went, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's like...
it's the same thing.
Right. But make sure you always read whatever spits out.
100%.
Because sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah, even if the robot creates it, you still have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So make sure you're reading it through.
I saw there's this guy on LinkedIn where and this probably is a joke, but he intentionally just puts nonsense in paragraphs and sentences so that it just confuses AI models.
Right.
So we're talking, he'll be like, we're talking about title, but butterfly peanut butter. What we're talking about is FinCEN happening in Dinosaur 11. And just so it confuses every AI that reads his stuff so that we're not going to have solid models to work with. He's like, the guy who wants to watch the world to burn.
Yeah. Thanks, bud.
But I thought it was funny.
He's the reason why we can't have nice things.
Right, exactly.
He's that guy. So look, I'm gonna steer off a little bit into something that's a little bit different. But you personally, how did you get into this business?
So I've thought about this before, and my first thought was right after law school, but I have to probably go back a little bit before, because in the early 2000s, my dad kind of had enough with corporate America and flying over the country every week to sell software. So he quit his job and he started flipping houses. So, and like any good father, sons are free labor. Sure. So I quickly became an unpaid intern of the company, I think, where, in addition to tearing down walls and rebuilding cabinets and, God, I had to take out a dead cat skeleton from an attic one time. We also had to buy and sell these properties. So we were going out of the courthouse and buying them at foreclosure and figuring out, do we need to get title insurance? Do we not need to get title insurance? All right, we do have it. Now there's an issue with title because we're buying these right on the courthouse steps. How do we use that to make sure that we can sell it after we fixed it up? So that was kind of my first, it was during college, my first unintentional and sort of hidden exposure to the title business and real estate. And then when I knew I wanted to do law school. And then I went to law school from 2008 to 2011. There was a small financial issue with the country at that time.
Sure.
People weren't really hiring at all.
Yeah. And
I think I got to give my dad credit where, I just valued, getting a job and kind of doing whatever needs to get done. So I kind of weaseled my way into a small office that did bankruptcy work as a clerk. So I sort of saw that aspect of how that affects real estate. And then my first job out of law school, actually my first one out of law school was legal seafoods, but it had legal in the title. So I felt like I made it. Looking back now, I probably would have made more selling lobster in Boston than I would have at a couple of the firms I worked at. But thankfully, I was able to get a job working in an office that did real estate. In Massachusetts is an attorney state. So the law firm was the title company. So I started to get involved in that. And then I went to another firm that did all residential real estate in the greater Boston area. And I was there for about 2 years. I tried to get out of title. And I went and worked at another company that did asset recovery, but it wasn't for me. And then I got hired by Stewart to be a claims counsel because they want people who have a couple of years of experience in what we actually do before you start, paying out claims and all that kind of stuff. So I got into that, and that was, 10, 11 years ago. And I've just slowly kept doing the jobs that Stuart gives me. And underwriting was a lot of fun, though. I mean, that's why I moved here to New Jersey. There was an opening, and I was already doing New Jersey claims work. So I jokingly talked to, it was Sarah Valenz actually, who worked at Stuart at the time. I said, "Oh yeah, I come down and do it." And she was like, "Seriously?" "Oh, well, I'll tell my boss." And I did. And then I told my wife, like, "Hey, we might move to New Jersey. Job opportunity might come up, and it looks like a good one."
Right.
And thankfully, she really showed that she loved me and agreed to come down.
Okay.
Yes, and come down. And I was underwriting counsel and then state counsel for Stuart. So it's really rewarding. And like we talked about, I do really think what we do is important. I believe in it, and it's been great. I had no thought in college really, or even law school at the beginning of this is what I want to do. And I do remember meeting with an attorney sometime early on in my career, right after I got out of law school, like, networking lunch. "Hey, will you hire me?" Even though we're not talking about hiring me, kind of thing. And he's like, "So what have you been doing?" And I kind of told him about the title stuff. And he goes, "Oh, that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like, you're already too deep." And I go, no. And, it's like 15, 16 years later. And I'm like, oh, he was right.
Yeah. Once you get in,
it's tough to get out.
If you get hooked, you're hooked.
Yeah.
So look, I have a handful of questions left for you. Okay. So let's see how we get through these. I don't think any of these will make you cry, but
Sensitive
I'm hoping
now.
because tears equals ratings.
Okay.
So if you could try to squeeze one out.
Is that why this thumbtack is near my foot?
Oh, you found it. Sorry, I meant for that to stay hidden. Look, we're over the past 4 years of your time on the board. Were there any exceptionally meaningful and or surprising moments that come to mind?
Definitely the continued collaboration. We've had a lot go on in the last 4 or 5 years. Like right before I got on the board, we were right in the middle of COVID.
Sure.
Where we faced a lot of challenges then with closures of offices and things like that. So I thought it was really amazing for people who, we're all technically competitors, to get together and be like, all right, how do we make sure that this is working for all of us? And that's kind of what really got me to want to get on the board. And then after that, we continued that, really focused on trying to regain good relationships with the counties. I think that's been really important. And I think just honestly, the people who are involved, it's really nice to see that people care about what they do, and they care about not only their colleagues but their competitors too. And that we're all working for the same goal of making sure that this is something that we can do to provide for our families and have a decent life here. And I think you really get to see that within the organization, and it's just continued. Like I said, with the more people who get involved, it's very fulfilling to see that.
Before we looked into the future, we peered into the camera and we told future presidents, what to plan for, what to expect. We're going to look backwards now. We're going to look backwards in time. So that's over our shoulder, not at the camera.
Okay.
So, and I would like you to look back and talk to your younger self, maybe still in college self, maybe even still in high school self.
Oh man.
What advice would you give your younger self for the future? Now, this doesn't have to be title related. It could be just, any kind of advice.
Well, I would say do better in math so that you didn't have to be a lawyer. You could have been a doctor. But other than that, I think just be ready to know it, try to figure out what you want and understand that, but then also realize that you might not get there the way you think. And along the way, things might change because if you do something long enough, if you're not changing with it, then you might find yourself kind of left behind. So, and that's easy to do, I think, for everyone. You get kind of locked in, you're doing things well, or, and it works, and you just keep doing that. But I think it's important to realize that it's good to look not only inward, but also kind of across the board and say, okay, what can I be doing better to continue the success that I've had or I'm making, because it's easy to sort of just kind of fall into the trap of not moving forward.
Right. So you'd mentioned that you have a 3-year-old.
Yes.
And I will say my sons are 22. They're grown-ups now. But I spent a good deal of time looking back and reflecting and saying, I'm going to pass the wisdom of my failures and successes onto my sons so that they can avoid them or learn from them and, have an easier life. I just would like to report to you, your kids don't give a crap about your knowledge. You're just dad. You're not that smart.
Even now, my son tells me that.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. I want to take that to heart because I had the same lofty goal of be like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do things differently. Right. He's gonna be amazing and learn. Yeah, all for me. And even at 3, I'm
3. It begins. They're like, it's just dad. I don't need to listen to him fully, and it doesn't get better.
Okay, good.
But
it's good. I
just figured I'd help you out.
Thank you
on that side.
I'm excited.
So look, I have 2 main things I want to ask you left.
Okay.
They're related, but from different angles. The first is, what are your hopes for the NJLTA going forward?
First and foremost, I really hope that people not only stay involved, but get involved. I know we've talked about that a couple times, but this thing only works when you have people who want to be a part of it and want to actually work for what you're volunteering to do. It is a volunteer position, but personally, I think if you say you're going to do it, you need to do it. It's great to hang out and, swap funny stories and stuff like that. But the association is more than that, in that there are serious things that need to get done, and it takes hard work, and you need to commit to it, and people need to get to know that going in and realize that it's benefiting us all if we do this right. Makes us keep doing what we're doing, do it better and faster and more efficiently, and I'll be selfish and say this is how we make a living. So working at it is important, and I really hope that people continue to stay passionate about it and realize that there's a lot of good in what we do as an association that can really benefit everyone. Right. And I think I'm a big believer in that, high tide raises all ships, if this association is designed to elevate everyone in it. There really isn't a winner or a loser in that. So we all can work together and realize that what we're doing is important and has good benefits at the end of the day. I think
truly
more and more so, with sort of the federal and the state regulatory stuff looking at us now, and people are questioning why we do what we do. You got to stay involved and make an effort.
Truly. And, I think there's a handful, not a handful, there's a cadre. That's a good word. Cadre of people who are perennially helping to keep the engine running at the NJLTA. And whereas that sort of continuity of purpose is good for making things efficient, we need fresh faces.
Absolutely.
We need people to come in and sit alongside those people who have been there for 10, 20 years and learn from them so that they can pick up the baton and run with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where we're a little bit shallow. We need a little bit more of partnership between the established folks and some new people who want to come in and make a difference.
Yep.
Because like you said, it's important for the survival of our industry to maintain its honor and nobility as a good part of the real estate economy. So yeah, I agree with that. Lastly, last big question. This is, if you're going to cry, this is when I want,
You were the best president. When you just get
No. You're very kind. But my question is, John Crowley, personal goals or plans for the future?
Ooh.
Anything you want to share with us? I mean, you don't have to tell us super private stuff.
Did my wife talk to you?
No, but if she'd like to call, my phone number 732.
Well, like we've talked about, I'm a dad now, and I've got a 3-year-old, so that's a big responsibility. And like we just talked about, try to impart, wisdom and knowledge and stuff, but just make sure he stays out of prison would be a good thing. But my family, that's 50-50. But certainly be a good dad and a good husband personally. And but professionally, I'm very pleased. Like I didn't know this was what was going to happen, but I couldn't really ask for anything better in the last 10, 15 years. I'm very happy of what I've been working at and continue to work at, even though my job's a little different now. I'm still very involved, and I want to continue to be involved with New Jersey title industry as a whole and this association, because I've met a lot of great people, and I know that they're hardworking, and I just want to continue to do whatever we can to make this the best job ever. Honestly, I know that sounds like kind of hokey, but like I said, there's a lot of good people in this industry, in this state, and it's a nice thing to work together to make stuff happen in a positive way, and not get fired. That's always a big personal goal of mine.
Personal goal is to not get fired.
Yeah, like whenever they do the HR thing of like, what's your goal for the year and tell me about your plans, I'm always like, in the back of my head, I'm like, just not get fired. Right. Like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I got ideas and stuff, but I'm not a very expansive person.
I don't need much. Just let me come in and pay me semi-frequently, regularly, whatever. Yeah. Whatever pulse you want.
That would be nice. Yeah, I will admit this isn't a hobby. No, but it's nice to be able to make it a career. Right. It's not just a job, because you do get to enjoy the people you get to hang out with. Right. Whether it be competitors or customers or people who just sort of are in the same world as you. It's nice.
Common thread through all of these interviews is the love for the career. The love for this industry is pervasive for the people who have been president of the NJLTA. And, I can agree with that. It's very rewarding, and service in the NJLTA is rewarding as well. And I think it's important. And look, we spent a lot of time. I didn't wear a watch today, so I don't know how much time exactly, but it's a fair amount.
Good time.
Of talking this out. And I think we got to the bottom of who is John Crowley.
Oh, wow.
So if in the future, if you do anything, super important or disreputable, you can reach out to the NJLTA to get permission to use this in case you need to do like a little expose.
Oh, I thought you were like, character reference in a good way, but you're going the other way.
Well, you got to plan for both sides.
Got it.
Like,
okay.
You never know.
Sure.
Sometimes.
So we don't get paid to be the president, but I thought, at least that was a perk. You get like a character witness.
Well, I'd be your character witness, but you did admit to some stuff. When we wind this back, I think you're going to listen and you're going to be like, oh God, I said that.
Delete it. Just delete it.
I don't delete anything. I just raw audio goes straight out to the internet.
Great.
So I thought we made that clear, but your waivers are in the packet that we
yeah. Well,
anyway,
like I said for years, I'm not a real attorney.
You're not that kind of lawyer.
Yeah, I'm not that lawyer. So.
Well, look, I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
It was fun,
and I'm glad you had a good time.
Thanks for having me.
It was my pleasure to serve with you, and I look forward to continuing to serve with you for many years to come.
Yeah, we're on a couple committees now as past presidents.
I know. We've got like old man, responsibilities.
Yeah, I'm excited. It is weird to not like be in the thick of it every day. I'm still getting used to that. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, it's like a missing limb. Like when your presidency ends and you're like, I'm still tied into knowing about all this stuff, but it's not my problem.
Yeah.
And I really shouldn't say anything because now it's somebody else's,
right.
Because
you spent 4 years on the board, and then the last year,
right.
You're kind of running the show.
Yeah.
And then they just let you
and
loose.
Then you're out.
Yeah.
So, and you got to you got to hope that when you left everybody behind you with enough, knowledge and empowerment to just pick up where you left off.
Well, I'm confident of that.
And I'm sure you did. I know you did.
Yeah.
So I've already been talking to those guys.
Oh, good.
They're real happy.
They don't pick up my phone calls anymore.
Yeah. I told them they should answer your phone.
Sure. Thank you.
Your phone calls. They said they're warming up to it.
I appreciate it.
But I'll keep working them over.
Great.
All right, John, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, man.
Take care. See you next time, everybody. Take care. Now I gotta shut off the phone.
Oh, no.
Before we start talking about people in a perhaps derogatory fashion.
Yeah, do you have a Faraday bag? We can put that in?